Welcome back to the podcast for founders by founders. This is the Uncommonality Podcast.
Today we have the amazing queen of LinkedIn herself, Lauren Goodell with Zinnia. Welcome, Lauren. We've been waiting to have you on for a very long time, so we're very grateful to have you today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for lending us a few minutes here. So just for our audience here, tell us a little about who you are, what you do, and what is Zinnia?
I'm Lauren Goodell. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zinnia. We're a sales acceleration platform focused on making all sales reps awesome.
Love that. And how did you get into, what started Zinnia? How did we fall into this?
Yeah, I'm a recovering corporate employee. So I spent about a decade in enterprise sales between LG, Microsoft, and Salesforce. And what made me good at my job was doing the things that don't scale. So creeping on people on LinkedIn, on their social media, understanding what's important to them and what drives them, and then being able to kind of cater that sales process to them. So a lot of this is really about human connection and how we can make sales reps better.
That's amazing. Speaking of human connection, so who is Lauren? Tell us a little about who Lauren is.
I don't know how much time you have, but my deepest, darkest secret. No, I mean, my entire ethos is about self-actualization. So what can we do to really meet our own goals, stretch ourselves, challenge ourselves? My last year at Salesforce, I thought I was going to stay in corporate forever. I had a couple goals for myself. I wanted to close the biggest deal. I wanted to be the top rep in my entire organization, and I wanted to make 7 figures in commission. And I hit all of those goals, and I was like, I'm no more fulfilled. I'm no more satisfied. I closed my biggest deal of my life playing Candy Crush on my phone on a Zoom call, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to be challenged and grow and learn every day. And ultimately, that's what entrepreneurship answers.
So you started to branch out into something that's in alignment with you and probably fuels your fire a little bit more.
Oh yeah, drives the energy, drives the motivation.
So you're big into like the whole human connection stuff, and that's where Zinnia comes into play with this stuff.
Yeah, so do you actually know what Zinnia is?
No, we'd love to hear.
So Zinnia is actually the world's most resilient and fastest growing flower because the way that it cross-pollinates. So the whole idea is cross-pollinate with your clients, your prospects, so that you can grow faster and be more resilient as a team.
How'd you come up with that?
I am a hippie and I love flowers. So yeah, no. Actually, my first kind of foray into entrepreneurship was when I was still at Microsoft. On nights and weekends, I opened a floral arrangement company that I did florals for weddings. And so it was kind of a nod to that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, okay, so why did you come this way then? So like why?
That was honestly just a hobby. I wasn't trying to make a big business out of it. It was more of just like, hey, I did a couple friends' weddings and then it spiraled out of control and I had a bunch more weddings. But no, I'm in love with software. It's been my entire career.
So like, what would you say is the biggest value that Zinnia brings compared to anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of sales acceleration tools out there, AI BDRs, top of funnel, mid funnel, and anything like that. But what a lot of them forget is the real human element of it. And my entire, belief is that people buy from people. And even if people don't buy from people, like relationships matter. And whether they buy from you today or 10 years from now, our very first client was a prospect of mine when I was at Salesforce that we actually never sold anything to. But then when I opened Zinnia, he was our very first customer we had. So almost a decade later, like relationships really do matter.
How do you nurture these types of relationships, right? Because a decade down the line, people can be easy to forget. You're very hard to forget, right? You have that charisma to yourself. How important are these relationships and how do you nurture them?
Yeah, I think the thing that I always say is I do have a very unapologetic personality. I'm very much authentic to myself, but I think that's the most important thing when nurturing relationships is, to me, I'm goofy and maybe a little bit weird, and I will crack jokes and I will find ways that we can nerd out about things that we both care about. But if that's not authentic to you individually, I don't think that that's what works. And that's really where what we're building is focused on making sales fun for both sides. So like for me, I do care about, writing down, oh, you went on this trip. So the next time I talk to this prospect or client, I'm like, how was that trip that you went on 6 months ago? Like, I think those little anecdotes are really important to actually like build that real connection and actually care about them.
It's this reminds me of, I took an internship at Tupperware many years ago, and I had a meeting with the CEO at coffee, and it's the art of the note, the art of the written note, right? Yes. And like in a day and age of fast-paced LinkedIn, Instagram, all these things, everything's tech and very, very fast. Not a lot of people will take the time out of the day to write down, oh, this is what happened. This is when their anniversary is. This is what is an important date for them. And I think like you can just capture that very, very well. So that's incredible.
There's, CRM is obviously meant to take all your notes about the last time you met. But a mentor of mine actually told me a few years ago about having a note in your phone that's
Yes.
called the last time. And I use it with friends, I use it with family, I use it with business connections. But it's like the last time we talked, what's the one thing that we talked about? So that if you do see somebody a year from now or 2 years from now, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm going to see this person. What's the last thing we talked about? And it's actually like very, very helpful for keeping those connections strong.
I love it. That's so practical too. That's
Dude,
like something
that's
anyone can
amazing.
implement.
I've never heard that one before. That's a really good one.
Yeah. I know it's very long in my phone. So.
I can imagine. Yeah, the charisma. Yeah, it should be so lot. The charisma on you is crazy. What So for you, I want to ask something because I think this can be valuable to a lot of people. And coming from your perspective, probably a lot more than others. You're coming from a situation where you're absolutely thriving. You're killing it. For people who are less ambitious, that would be gold, comfort level, just life living, coasting, right?
Sure.
It takes a certain level of mindset, a certain person, certain level of confidence, and then a certain pride in yourself to be able to take that and say, no, this isn't what's for me, even though it looks perfectly fine. How did you process through that? Because I'm sure that's, for most people, like that's the scariest part. They'll leave when they're struggling. You're
Yeah.
prospering. It's like, I'm still going. Like, where do you come through with that?
One thing that my therapist has said to me, and I repeat this all the time, is stop shooting all over yourself. Like, stop shooting all over yourself. And I'm saying should, please be aware. But it's like, oh, I should climb the corporate ladder. I should do this. I should do that. I should do X, Y, Z. I should take the next step at this company. But I pause to say, like, is that what's authentic to me? Do I feel like I'm thriving here? And another like really good thing to implement is the energy map. Have you guys ever heard of this energy map? So I have my team do this, but you print off your last 2 weeks of your calendar. And then you take a green highlighter and highlight any meeting or any task on your calendar that gave you energy. And then you highlight anything in red that drained your energy. And then you're like, how can I actually outsource the things that are in red that drain that energy? And so even though I was like, top sales rep, top 1% of the company, I was like, this is draining my energy, and the things that I'm doing, I'm good at, but I'm not happy. I'm not learning, I'm not growing. And so I think that that's a good exercise at any time to be like, am I where I'm supposed to be, or am I going where I'm supposed to be going?
That's phenomenal. I love that. You're the queen of these like practical tips. I love that. That's amazing.
That falls in line with like Ikigai.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the Seed the South event, which is obviously why we're here. You spoke this morning, and what would you say from a nerves perspective, or for someone who will be pitching, or anyone that needs practical advice on pitching, what would you give to them, or your experience here?
Oh, I love this question. I actually am one of the weird nerds that love public speaking, and I find it just like energizing and fun and exciting. But when I started at Microsoft, shouldn't say this, maybe like 14 years ago, I actually would travel around to conferences and speak often. And I was 21 years old and had no idea what the heck I was doing. So there's like a couple pieces of advice that I got that I still implement today. One of them is having a pre-speech ritual. So anytime you get up, as like having something that you do every single time. And for me, it was like, what's your walk-up song? What do you listen to? And at the time, Katy Perry's "Roar" was the song. And so sometimes this conference is wonderful, but it's less pressure than maybe a bigger conference where there's 5,000 people. So I didn't rock out to "Roar" this morning, but I still sometimes do. The second thing is making yourself as big as possible physically. So getting on stage, people tend to get nervous and kind of like crouch down, come in, but like, how do I make the biggest arm movements? How do I make myself big? And it like exudes confidence and makes you feel confident in yourself. And then my favorite one is, can you create an alter ego who's really confident on stage? So like Lauren might not be confident on stage, but I jokingly called her Lorena, and she is a rock star. And it's like, if you almost like get into that mindset and go out there, it helps a ton. And I stole that from Beyonce. So she has an alter ego.
What's her alter ego?
I'm trying to remember. She has a name for herself.
She has an actual name. I've heard
and
it too,
everything. And she's like, Beyonce's nervous on stage, but her alter ego is not. So
I mean, to the point, even that should bring comfort to people. Beyonce gets nervous and needs
the queen. I know,
right? No, that's amazing. I mean, if nobody's watched Lauren talk on stage, I've seen you multiple times. I've seen you at a Gwen conference. I've seen you here. She's amazing, and she loves it. You do really love it. You can tell.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
I want to ask one other thing beforehand, because we have been trying to get you on the podcast for a while now, and
We'll do
we
it,
had it
I
on books, but
promise.
life got in the way. And
Save it for later.
Totally normal, but you leveraged LinkedIn a lot.
Heavy.
And I mean that in the most like complimentary way possible. But what is your approach for that, right? Because you use it in a way that I don't really see other people using it at all. Like you almost use it like as a look inside of your life. Like when you go to these conferences, when we see you on stage, when we see you at this event, I know 2 days later I'm going to see it on my LinkedIn feed, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right. So like, how did you fall into there? Like, why are you leveraging that to this extent?
Mind you, I got that from you and tried to do it from you, and I couldn't sustain it. So I don't know how it's even possible.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And I've tried to content calendar it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every 2 days. It's just, what's Lauren up to?
I don't over engineer it. So probably about a year and a half ago, Atlanta Ventures, my lead investor, was like, Lauren, you need to have more of an executive presence. You need to be more well-known. So you should start posting on LinkedIn. And I was like, this is stupid. I've got better things to do. I don't want to do it. They were like, just try to post a couple times a week for the next couple months and just see what happens. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but just try. And I was like, I would overthink everything. I would rewrite things over and over and try to make sure it's perfect. But then I realized that people don't really care if it's perfect. It's not supposed to be a book. It's supposed to be like, again, people buy from people. People invest in people. So I am a bit self-deprecating and I am a bit raw, and I post things that are like, yeah, I melted my pants before getting on stage, and I posted that and we got like 6 new customers out of it. The reality is like we're human. So how do we show up and be human? Now I have 15 minutes every morning and that's the only time I spend on it. And I'm like, what can I post today that's relevant to me? I don't have a content calendar. I don't brainstorm ideas. I don't use AI. All of it is really just like, what can I write in 15 minutes that feels authentic to me that I want to share today? And typically that resonates better than anything.
That's great. I mean, you said something in there that like I resonate a lot with, because I heard it from one of my first bosses at Vanguard. Most great leaders are very self-deprecating, right? Most of the best leaders like will make the joke about themselves, or will say like, no, I'm really not anything special, right? You guys are the special ones. And I think like even you just saying that in the flow of conversation is so real and like so authentic to your point. Just as we close this up, on brand with the Uncommonality podcast, we ask the same question to every founder, and you'll probably hear this again when you're on the podcast. So you got to think of something new next time, but we'll give you this one now. What is one uncommon practice, belief, or system that you've built over your life or career or with Zinnia that you think anyone watching can get value out of or implement in their game?
I don't know if it's uncommon, but unique to me, I think, is the realization that nobody knows what they're doing and like stopping trying to be perfect. I have a lot of really wonderful mentors, which I wouldn't be here without them, but a lot of them have sold billion-dollar companies. And I remember talking to one of them and they sold for multiple $1 billion. And he told me like he was sitting in the parking lot before going into the final meeting to sign the paperwork. And he was like, they're going to find out I'm a fraud. Sold for multiple $1 billion. And so it's like when you talk to people like that who are mega successful, that are on every stage, you realize no one knows what the heck they're doing and we're all just doing our best. And so I remind myself that all the dang time.
That's great.
And very comforting.
Yeah, and very true.
Fake it till you make it, you know?
Fake it till we make it.
Yeah. But with that, Lauren, thank you so much. This has been a great time. And we wish you the best of luck with everything going forward.
Wonderful. Can't wait to come back.
Can't wait to have you back.